Welcome to Fairy Tale Access, where the head fairy's quest is to prove that fairy tales do exist in actual time rather than once upon a time. Together, we will unravel the heroes, young and old, who turn dreams into reality. These are the people who still believe in happily ever after. The discoveries will bend even our most cynical non-believers into believing in fairy tales. Hi, welcome to Fairy Tale Access. Today, this one's for us, ladies. It's a Reverse Harem by Tirza Schaefer from Germany by Skype. And she knows just what we're looking for. Thank you for joining us. How are you today?
Thank you for having me, Denise. I'm very happy to be here and totally happy.
Oh, that's great. So tell me, how did you get into writing Reverse Harem? You've written 30 novels.
Yeah. I've got most of my books are actually romance novels, but it's been the last couple of years that I've written Reverse Harem because when I read the first one that I came across, that wasn't just like this erotica, written pornography, but really with a relationship and that. So I was really fascinated by it, and I really loved it as well. And I thought, no, that's a good thing, So I started to write, and Tank came out. That was my first one. So.
Wow. And how many will be in the series?
It's a trilogy, so there's going to be 2 more, which I haven't written yet. I've kind of started them, but, it's a long way to go.
Oh, I like the whole idea because it's The Seals of Spain is book 1 for Tank. And these guys are like Navy SEALs. They're really tough guys. They all have their own unique interests, but they fill a need.
They do, yes.
It was so much fun to read, and it was so well done because it wasn't like strong like erotica can be. So I was really excited that you didn't go that way. It really played into the relationship more and how the different personalities, just really help you be you and more confident in yourself. That was really well played out.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy you enjoyed it that much. That's very important to me because I feel we're in a consumer society where sexuality is very often treated as a commodity and people are being used and thrown away. And I didn't want to portray anything like that. But for me, it's very important to show that it's a committed relationship with mutual respect and love, and also the build up, getting to know each other better, having trust between everybody, and also having problems within the relationship, but how that pans out without the 4 characters taking part. So, that's what I thought. When I finished Tank, I thought that there's going to be some more. So it's going to be like a trilogy. And then I thought, okay, I call that Seals in Spain, although Dom is actually a Spanish person, and he was in the Spanish equivalent of Navy SEALs. And I can't say that. It's a really long word. I don't speak Spanish. So I'm not going to make myself silly here. But, so I've worked on the concept of Dom and Seb coming afterwards. Those are going to be the number 2 and 3 books of that series. And they also, I've started another series, the MILF Diaries is called, and they are going to have a guest appearance in that one in book 3, which isn't out yet. I've just done the first couple of those, so they're kind of coming into that other series as well as a guest appearance, because out of all the characters I've ever written, the male characters in my books, I've always kind of planned them around the female lead. So they suit her with her priorities and her personality and that. But with this one, it was different. The person Tank, the character itself, I've written just for me. It's like, if you want to know what my ideal man is, Tank is the one. So, so that is very close to my heart as well. So, for that reason. And, and I thought I'll just give them a bit more space to appear as well in the other series.
Well, it's about time. I mean, reverse harem should be the norm,
Yeah. I agree. I have met with a lot of readers saying it's too much for them, but also I think they're more used to the erotica and where you just have gangbang and things like that without any real connection between the people, on an emotional and mental and spiritual level, and that is really what's missing. And if you judge a book on that, it's like, and also if you have a very strong, maybe religious background, or you're not very comfortable with your own sexuality, obviously, that's going to be a challenge to wrap your mind around it and be open. But it's worth it, ladies. So try it.
It's definitely worth it, ladies. I had so much fun reading it and meeting all three guys and just seeing the dynamics of how it all could work together, and how they form their own friendship, and it wasn't, the girl wasn't a toy in the story. She was the lead. And I really like that.
Yeah, because a lot of people, they have like stories, a reverse harem, they have like the virgin trope, they're like older, more powerful men, use the woman as their toy, as you said, or like something like that. So that is something for me that doesn't work. And because I'm also past like the, I don't know, secret baby stage and all that, that is not my world. And I was thinking, also looking through Amazon for books to read about like MILF Cougar, that kind of age gap, which obviously is me as well. So I found books that weren't very well written most of the time, and they are very often just like, I don't know, the handyman next door comes over and services the neglected wife, or the college best friend of the son, something like, something around that, and it's never going anywhere. It's just like an adventure, and there isn't that real connection. And so I wanted to have the power leveled out, to have that imbalance between the characters, because a true relationship can only be if you have, power on both sides equally. And in the case of Tank, of course, they've been best friends already. They live together and all that, and they've got their own thing going on. And also with Seb's mom being like, a homophobic and a racist and all that, and they still decided to keep her in the house and look after her because she's sick and dying. That speaks of real commitment and friendship and love. To stand above that and to be there and support your like brother in arms. And I found that very important to show that when you love somebody, even when it's a bromance and, not a romantic thing, but that when you love people, that you make sacrifices as well for their sake,
Yeah.
And support them. Like, because nowadays, so many people they just hop on and use people, and, and I wanted to show how important it is to have a real connection with people.
I think you did a great job with that. So my question to you, though, is you're from Germany originally, right?
I am, yes, I'm German, yeah.
So where did you learn English? Because it's exceptionally well written. And I love that. I love when books are, I hate when they have a lot of mistakes. And you're like, no, on this page, you need to cross this out. It's not that word, but it was like, I looked you up. I found out that you were from Germany. I was like, wow, like people who speak a second language and can write in the other language. That's amazing.
Thank you so much. That means a lot to me, because also I'm very short of money, so I wasn't able to afford an editor. So that is really just all my work there.
How long did it take you to write?
That was pretty quick, actually. I wrote that in 2018, And then I got ill the year after. So just when I had finished that, my illness started. And then I only picked it up again in 2020 and then rewrote, edited, and everything. And then, it got published. But I think that was no more than 2 months. So it just kind of flowed out. It's very different with books for me. It's like some that just go like short ones. I've written them in one day, and some took really a long time. Like the one I'm writing on now, I've just finished it, the raw version, and that took me 6 months. It was like stop and start all the time, but it was really great in the end. So it was worth it.
Oh wow! And how many do you write at a time? Do you have more than one book going at a time?
Yes, sometimes I've got a few started as well. From like Dom, I've started already, and I have the third book of the MILF Diary started already as well. But sometimes I just need to get away from what I'm writing at the moment, and sometimes I just take up my notepad and I have to write by hand something, and then I write something completely different, which will never see the light of day as in being published, but I need to get that out of my system just for myself. So it's a creative process. It was difficult to get the inspiration being on lockdown, but we've been traveling lately, and that's my number one thing to get me going,
Yeah, I know. The places are so... Have you been to Spain?
I have been to Spain, just not recently, but, as a child I was, and few times. So, yes, definitely.
Oh, it definitely left an influence on you.
Yeah, I love Spain, and I've got friends in Spain, and, if I had the money, I'd just be moving over there straight away. Really. Have a little house by the sea.
I know, that would be nice.
Yeah,
they had a big house by the sea though.
They did, yeah. They've got more money.
Yeah, that made a big difference. But I love the multi-layer. I love the action, the whole plot line of things going on in the background, and the people that they met along the way, and it was just so steamy, and you could let your imagination wander and be like, yeah, I'm gonna get another cup of coffee or a glass of wine.
Yeah, that was the idea of it. I love to have all the action, because I also, when I watch movies, I like action a lot. And I always think, like, in action movies, the romantic part comes too short and the steamy stuff, So I thought I'd just put it all together.
Have you seen any Reverse Harem movies? Because I tried to look for some and I didn't find anything. No. So you think it would make a really good movie?
It would, absolutely, and I'm going to be pitching it when the series is done, and like the two that I've just mentioned, this one and the MILF Diaries. So then I want to pitch them as well, because they kind of belong to one big thing, isn't it? So it would be really good to have a spin-off like Vampire Diaries and the originals, something like that.
Definitely, and it was empowering to women. There was nothing like if. I think if it was written from a male, although I've read a couple that were written by males in this genre, and it's just a meaning, and it wasn't. I love the whole I just the whole relationship part of it, the way that you played it out, the way that you meet different people's needs, and you don't just care about each other. That was so good. And, the going out and who was thinking what, the whole part at the beginning, basically this is what you're going to have to deal with. Great.
Yeah. So, and I loved how it began, really, because Sarah is the one who's like really down on her luck and everything, and she's looking for a new job and trying to get out. And then she sees this job as a housekeeper and companion for this old lady, and she thinks, oh my God, let's try that. But then at the same time, this powerful man, her future employer, Dom, is totally desperate as well.
Right.
So he's not like all the way up here and she's like, oh, please give me a job. But it's like, he's like, oh, please come and work for me because nobody else wants to. So that is a leveling out already. And then it's like, it's not this power game. It's a very flat hierarchical structure, so that's what I like in all spheres of life, really, that you don't have this like, oh, my badge says manager, so you have to listen to what I say. It's like, if you have to show me your badge where it says manager, you shouldn't be wearing it in the first place. People come together and work together on their merits, and everybody brings in their own strengths and kind of balances out somebody's weaknesses and so on. That's what a relationship is all about, and that's what teamwork is about. You become stronger as a unit.
Right. And it was voted best 20 reads of 2020. No doubt, because we're all looking for something in 2020. And then all-time favorite reads by the international blogger, The Magic Book Corner. They do a great job.
Yeah.
And I love that you address taboo subjects, I mean, we've certainly heard over hundreds and thousands of years, we've heard about men having harems and, the sheiks and other people and, are being able to have multiple wives. So this is like so refreshing because it's like we're coming into our own now.
Exactly. And there have been powerful women who've done that before, obviously, like Cleopatra or the Tsar Katerina and of Russia and so on, so just to name a couple. But the real thing is also the divine feminine is rising. And I don't know if you know that I'm a spiritual coach as well, a goddess coach. So I work a lot with goddess archetypes and power animals and that. But I love working with goddess archetypes, in particular with women, because it shows them that the feminine itself is powerful and you don't have to deny your femininity in order to gain power. Because a lot in the feministic movement, there's been so many women who have totally denied being feminine and been really aggressive in doing like all these male personality traits, to get her to get out and all that. But we need to come back and really embrace our femininity and our divinity, because we need to understand that we're not weak. It's a total balance. It's the yin and yang, and women are very powerful once they embrace their power again.
Right. And I think
it's going to be awesome.
I know, but I think you're right. I think the Me Too movement has really spoke about that or spoke to that issue over the last couple of years. It's like I shouldn't have to play down. I should just be able to be me and do this job because I'm good at it. I shouldn't have to, dress like a guy or hang out with the guys or, learn to really drink whiskey. But just those type of things. But I thought you were really good. So tell me more about your job. So as a goddess coach, what does that entail?
That means that I help women to go through their trauma that they have, to embrace their own femininity and their own power. And first of all, dare to believe in themselves and to actually believe in their dreams and make that a priority as well. Because as women, especially like our generation and up, we've been really brought up to self-sacrifice, to always look after everybody else first before we think of ourselves. We're like the leftovers. That's what we get, from ourselves, first of all. So it's very important that we take ourselves seriously and understand that we can only do our best and give our best to the world as well when we are coming from a strong place, from a place of power. And there's nothing to be afraid of, neither for the women nor for men, because the men are suffering from from women who are not happy and who are not empowered as well. It's just, the imbalance affects everyone. So that's what women need to understand, that it's not a selfish thing to do, that they have the right, it's their birthright to be happy, it's the right to look after themselves and to have their needs met, and not only as number 121, after everybody else. So that's the first step, and then you can build up on that and use like the goddess archetypes, because they all have like a particular theme. Like, for instance, if you look at Aphrodite, that's, most people know Aphrodite is the goddess of love from Cyprus, from Greece. So when you look at how she embraces her own femininity and how much self-love there is and self-acceptance, because we don't accept ourselves very often. It's like, oh, I've got a double chin, my breasts or belly are sagging and whatever else, my hips are too wide and so on. And we are so overly critical about ourselves. But rather than standing in front of the mirror and saying, I love you so often until we actually believe it, that's one of the exercises as well. It's like, you got to feel ridiculous when you do it to start with, but after a while, might even take a couple of months, but if you keep at it every day, you feel the change, and then you feel better about yourself. And when you feel better about yourself, you carry that out into the world, that kind of vibe. And you will notice how people actually treat you differently as well. They take you more seriously. They come at you with a more positive attitude. They will be nicer to you and all that, because you're kinder to yourself.
That's true. Yeah. What's your background? What did you go to school for?
I've actually studied tourism. I've got 2 degrees in tourism from London, North London University, which is now part of Metropolitan University there. And because I love traveling, and but I've always been writing on the side, but, talking about being overcritical, that comes from personal experience. I always compared myself to Jane Austen and William Shakespeare, and I thought, I'm nowhere near that. I'm nothing like that, and I can't ever dare to even think about having my work published, So I was very self-conscious about myself, and I didn't think I was good enough. And it took a lot of talking and holding hands and from other friends that I had who read my things, in private and my writings, and said, this is really good. You should start publishing. So first was my poetry and then I started with the romance as well, and you could, as I have done everything myself with the editing and so on, I was, you can really see the progress as well if you read them in a chronological order, of my writing and so on, because it's very different when you just write for yourself and suddenly you have to consider somebody else is reading it who doesn't see inside their mind what you're seeing, like this movie that I'm writing along. They don't see that the woman might have like maybe blonde or black hair or something like that, and those are the things that I used to skip when I was just writing for myself, because it didn't matter. But then, you live and learn, you exchange with other authors as well. And I didn't have that for a long time because I wasn't in the writing community. I was in the spiritual community. So I didn't really have that access to be able to exchange with others. And which I'm so grateful. And I feel so blessed that I'm really very well integrated in the writing community. And I also always try to give back as much as I can, and pass it forward to others, who start out, and give tips and, tell them what I would have loved to have known at the time that somebody would have told me. So I'm trying to help others as well as much as I can. That's a good feeling,
Definitely.
I love help. Yeah.
I think women especially always have that good feeling when they help other people.
Yeah.
And it's better when, I think that the more that women take control of their own life, the less competitive that they are with each other.
Mm-hmm.
and the more supportive they are. Like, guys can be really supportive of each other. They're just like that. But women have not always been like that in the workplace and places like that. Did you ever notice that?
I have, and the women who are, I mean, I've never been like a competitive or jealous person. I've always been like, when somebody comes to me and says, "Oh, you know, I've gotten whatever, or I won something, or whatever, or I achieved something," I was like, "Oh, that's great, happy," and I genuinely feel that, you know, not to put myself up, but that's how I'm made, you know. So I had for a while really difficulties to get into that mindset, to even understand why people feel jealous and the need to put somebody down, and, you know, and like talk over you when you say something positive or whatever. And then after a while, I understood it's out of insecurity and fear, because they think there's not enough to go around. So if somebody else gets something positive, it's being kind of taken away from them. There's going to be less opportunity, less whatever. And they don't see that we live in an abundant universe. So we get, you know, not saying I'm perfect at manifesting everything. Otherwise I would have that house in Spain already. But, you know, when you come from a place of gratitude, of joy, of love, and mutual support, and when you really feel into your negative emotions as well and work with them, because you have to do the shadow work. It doesn't do just to like, oh, be positive, you know, that's not gonna make anything change really. That's just spiritual bypassing. But when you really address your things and work through them, and understand that as something in you and nothing to do with the other person that you feel jealous about or something, then you can really get to a level where you get so strong that you can support others and be happy for others, and it's natural. And then you feel all of a sudden other people are supporting you as well. I did, you know, I was like, for years, I didn't have any book sales. I didn't have people like supporting me. I was in a spiritual community. Everybody was like really self-conscious about all this taboo thing. Like, if you're spiritual, you shouldn't be seen reading romance books or things like that, you know. So I came up against all that. And then I understood I was judging myself. And then I was like, you can't do that. You have to embrace who you really are, you know. So that's what Sarah is also learning in Tank. You know, she has to embrace herself. And even though she had a lot of past difficult experience, negative experience with men especially, you know, that now is she has that opportunity to go on and have a different life now, and a positive one.
Definitely. Well, thank you for sharing so much about your background and how you spin such an exciting story. I loved it.
You. I'm so happy you did. Thank you.
My pleasure. Until next time, keep asking questions. And if you want a great book that's empowering and exciting, Tank, The Seals in Spain, with Tirza Schaefer. She won't let you down.